Alright, hello again everybody. Round 7. I was facing Mr. Mustonen with 1971 elo rating. I'm on a white pieces. I got my prep in here really well, but unfortunately it was not enough. Here, well, my move order was a bit tricky. Here I was still baiting of playing the Torre, which I have a ridiculous amount of games into the database, or London too. I was planning of going Queen's Gambit anyways, but I played this move order, even though it does signal the knight f3 early on in the Queen's Gambit, so you don't have the options of going knight d2 anymore. But I didn't care, I had a specific plan here. So we played Queen's Gambit anyways. Of course, black could have played something else here, but I did kind of expect things to go here. And then they play bishop e7, I go bishop g5. Anyways, we don't have the exchange variation. Black kicks my bishop around, I'll just drop it back. And here there's e3, simple chess. We have the bishop outside the pawn chain. We defend our pawn here. Of course, there's a... I think I had this position on the last round too. Or maybe without this. Anyways, there my opponent didn't play Tartakower here. He goes for the Tartakower variation. Or Tartakower defense. So I play this nowadays quite rare move here. Main moves are taking here, and then, well, the downside of that, black can here take either way. Knight takes, pawn takes. Now knight takes is probably even more popular, and there the bishop is not bad. Of course, white has the central pawns. These guys probably can end up traded, and well, I guess you could take there and shut down the bishop too. Could have been a way to play. It's okay. I did not want things to go there, so I played here queen b3. Well, of course, black could still take here and open this up. It's possible, but it's probably more normal to play the Tartakower bishop here, since you play the b6. And now, still the problem here is that black can take either way and keep the bishop open here, if you do there. So here you played a little weirdo move. Bishop takes f6. This is there's a lot of games by high-level players, Karpovs, Kasparovs, and etc. have played these positions millions of times. So I think I looked at randomly looked at some Kasparov game. I think it was early Kasparov days. There's Karpov games here too. But the point is that we take and chop. A bit like in the Tartakower anyways. We keep the bishop shut down. Now the bishop takes, of course, is possible, but then white takes, and I don't know, we can take and we have weakened this a little bit, this side here. It's probably not the end of the days for black, but it's a bit of a weakness there. So usually black takes this way in almost all the games, and then you have managed to shut down the bishop a little bit. I think here more normal stuff would have been something else, but the rook d1, it's probably the main line here. It has, like, it's weird, why do you put the rook on a closed file there, but it has something to do with the combating the c5 that is coming here. So here, well, I played it in a different way. I played bishop e2 instead, and this one I had on the board before the game, prepping for the round. And now black has very hard time. They can play the rook e8 here. It's a move that probably gonna get played, but they have a very hard time getting this knight out without playing c6, which shuts down the bishop more. I assume that the bishop c5 is not possible here. At least that I kind of was hoping that. Actually, yeah, engine says that it is probably possible, but ends up in some kind of a pawn sack. But black would be fine here. I don't know, here and there. Computer thinks this is fine for black, but of course it's hard for humans to go here, sacking a pawn for fun. Of course they have the bishop pair and it's open position, and maybe they'll have fun with the queenside pressure, but they also have an isolated pawn there too, and it's very hard to go here if you haven't seen this before, and this is very rare line. But my main point is that we are making it hard. The knight of course can't go either here because we can take here, and here it blocks the queen and we can take here, and well, basically my opponent played this here. I castled, but they eventually kind of have to play c6, even though they don't have to technically, but I assumed this is what's gonna end up on the board. And then I play the rook a d1 anyways. It defends here. Then white, the queen looks funky now. We have managed our goal here, but white has a second idea here where the queen actually ends up being very well placed on b3. So rook a d1 is prepping that. My opponent played knight d7. Before the game I was looking like the computer wanted to play here, and there were some funny lines like h3 and knight c7, and I did not expect this to really happen though. Well, maybe I actually looked at it too much in the computer line, since it's not a very natural way for humans to go. I should have probably looked more on this one. But I was looking like lines like this that looked very promising. Knight g4, and then suddenly black has to give up the bishop here because h5. And she wants to play h5, but if you play the bishop there, then we just play f4, and this is suddenly defended, and something like this happens or something else. We just drop the knight there, and then we have this coming up, maybe this coming up too. And the knight is quite dominant here, and well, it's a funny line like the entire thing, that h3 and you go weirdly there, but I kind of hoped this would happen, but yeah, this is more natural. I probably should have looked at this more. So I played the rook e1, and alright, so here I think this is the stuff I was looking before the game. g6, where we bang the e4, and then the queen actually starts working around here. Of course, it does leave you with the isolated pawn here, but yeah, I was looking at these lines. You can even sack the piece because you have this stuff winning it back with interest. This would just instantly be a game over. So this is not even takeable, the pawn here. Black has to do something else like rook knight f8, and then you can play here. It's maybe not the end of the world structure, like black will eventually have maybe some pawn breaks on c5, even though it makes this really weak, and I mean maybe c5 is very hard to pull as long as the bishop is here too. And the knight is probably gonna end up here pretty solidly though. Yeah, I mean this kind of stuff could have been playable for both sides. But yeah, this is funny, and of course, yeah, this kind of stuff is maybe not easy to spot, like white can hang the knight, and then there's this kind of a pretty unusual tactic here. Well, this annoys me a lot, though. The game did not go this way. My opponent didn't play g6, but he wanted the knight f6 with a different way. And I played e4 anyways, because what else? This happens, I can't get that in anymore, and what do I have? And here I have the bishop c4 anyways. I thought this does not work because this is blocked by the bishop now. And if I take there, he does this and then go somewhere. But here white can just play this way. Chop the rook and then queen e8. Queen e6, sorry. Not even that hard of a calculation. Bang. And white is winning. Hooray. Or king goes here. Bang. There's no way to stopping the mate. Well, there is a way to stop the mate, but it costs you a lot of pieces. Not good. Horrible. Really horrible. So this would have been a really good move. Here white black's in a huge trouble. He has to defend here and then knight comes here anyways. And disgusting. Queen c7 gets out of the d file and then white plays e6 and threatens to come here and, well, if you take here, oh, you come there anyways and bang, winning. Of course I didn't calculate any of this during the game, but looked at it afterwards. This would have been lovely. Anyways, I, like a total idiot, I took here, which is fine. But this was winning almost. My opponent played here, and then here I missed another shot. Knight g5 is, well, it's not as good as the bishop c4 earlier though. Black has to probably go here, and then, I don't know, we go here, and we have a nice knights here, and it's, well, the advantage, white has advantage here. It's not so obvious, but it kind of is obvious though, to think about it. We'll play f4, we'll cement this guy here, and if black ever plays b5, we can just chop here and end up with monster knights. Yeah, we can support this, and this guy is still buried out of the game. Instead I played probably too fast here. I was still in the, like, I had all prepped, but then I got little out of the prep and I was still playing too fast. I did not, I blitzed the opening phase really fast, I think. Well, not really fast, but quite fast. And then I was probably in a little too fast of a mood still in this game. Anyways, I go for the bishop f7 or f7 here, but now it's too late. They'll chop some pieces off. Defend f7. I'll add pressure. I kind of wanted to get rid of the bishop pair here. But here they just play rook e8. And there's nothing here. I played e6. And here I even took with the rook to trade down here. And I have some problems with the back rank. Even if I did, like, had some kind of luft plate or something, I could have played on, because there's some weakness on the light squares. This was, I thought, what I wanted to happen here. But the back rank is weak. Everything has been eliminated. We have a bishop left and the queen. Yeah, I mean, I probably should have done this if I wanted to play for a win, but I did not like how this trend goes, because there is suddenly a pin here. I have to probably break the pin, and then he can go here or here anyways and threaten stuff. And even though we did stop the mates, but I did not think that white can be better here. I started to think that, yeah, somebody's better, it's black. And by how huge margin, I don't know. Afterwards I looked at the engine and says, nah, it's zeros, like always. But during the game I did not like this trend at all. Started to look actually pretty nice for black, so I took this way around. They played king h8, and then I played h3 and offered a draw, which my opponent accepted. I was thinking stuff like queen f3, but still same mate threat here. And yeah, I saw this one kind of stuff why I rejected. I saw like queen f5 and suddenly bishop c8 and oh, it's black who wins. horrible. Here, of course, white could still play something else like trading down, but it's obviously just an even Steven, and even maybe black's king is gonna be faster into the game anyways. He gets there with tempos and annoying. It should be a draw, but yeah. After king h8, h3, I offer a draw. Fix my back rank so I can do stuff, but yeah, it is equal, completely equal. Well, that was a kind of a non-game. Only game of that day too. But it happens. Alright. Yeah, it's kind of I did like this opening though. And I missed some good chances. Of course there's options for black too, like they could take here and put the bishop here and have it open up if they want to. White can, of course, yeah. And white can play there. There's like a lot of this is the quite rare line. White can play different moves here too. Bishop e2 is probably the main line, or rook c1. Rook c1 is actually kind of. This was what I was considering before the game a lot. Kind of similar idea that we chop, so knight doesn't take here and then take and take. And there is this b4. We go for some kind of a bind here. Why I didn't go for this is that, well, the hope is of course that black plays c6, but sad part is that black can probably still blast through with c5 anyways, and then like bang bang. Even though it's a pawn sack again. Oh well, black's fully developed and we have this going on, and the bishops are bishop pair is bearing down there again, and this is probably one of those things you cannot just take. Well, this loses the knight, and well, can't block here because the bishop. So this is game over. But anyways, anything like this, and they can just recover the pawn anyhow, and then well, they get rid of the ISO line here at some point. I don't know if they didn't need to do it, but it's fine. Anyways, babbling all about. Thanks for watching. Next round, next time. Ciao.